Okay, when I say the word genius, what do you actually picture? No, really, be honest. For most of us, it's probably someone who looks a lot like Albert Einstein, right? You know, the wild hair, maybe a giant chalkboard full of complicated equations. It's just the classic image of brilliance we've all kind of grown up with. But what if that stereotype is, well, just plain wrong? What if real intelligence isn't about looking the part or, having all the answers? What if it's actually hiding in plain sight? Maybe even in the very habits and quirks we've always been told are our flaws. Today, we're going to dig into the hidden signs of a brilliant mind, and you might just find out you're a whole lot smarter than you think. All right, let's dive right in with some of the most surprising stuff. We're going to look at three super common bad habits that scientific studies have actually linked with higher intelligence. So if you've ever been called out for any of these, you're going to want to listen up. First on the list, swearing. Yep, you heard me right. We're always told that people who curse just have a bad vocabulary, that they're using those words as a crutch. But get this, psychologists at Marist College found that the complete opposite is true. They tested how many regular words people knew and how many swear words they knew. And the result? The people who could list off the most swear words, they also had a much bigger overall vocabulary. So it's not a substitute for intelligence, it can actually be a sign of a really rich, colorful mind. Okay, so what about a twisted sense of humor? A study in a journal called Cognitive Processing looked right into this, and it found that the people who best understood and appreciated dark jokes, the ones, the kind that make you gasp and laugh at the same time, they consistently score the highest on IQ tests, both verbal and nonverbal. But here's the real kicker. They also scored the lowest for aggression. Turns out, getting a sick joke is actually a pretty complex workout for your brain. And that brings us to daydreaming. Have you spent your whole life being told to stop spacing out and pay attention? Well, researchers at Georgia Tech might just have the proof you've been waiting for. They discovered that people whose minds tend to wander more often might actually have more efficient brains. The whole idea is that their brains have so much extra capacity, so much extra horsepower, that even when they're doing a simple task, they can't help but think about other things at the same time. It's not a lack of focus, it's an abundance of processing power. Just think about that for a second. Have you ever been in a meeting or maybe sitting in a lecture and you are trying so hard to listen, but your mind just floats away? Well, according to this research, that might not be you failing at all. It could just be your brilliant, efficient brain looking for something a little more interesting to chew on. Okay, so we've covered habits, but this next sign, it goes a lot deeper. It's not about what you do, it's about how you think. And this one might just be the most powerful indicator of a truly brilliant mind. It's all about embracing uncertainty. This really gets to the heart of it all. We live in a world that pressures us to have an answer for everything, right? But the smartest people, they're the ones who are comfortable enough to just admit they don't. Because saying I don't know isn't a sign of weakness. It's the absolute first step toward actually learning something new. There's actually a name for this idea. It's called intellectual humility. And it's basically the exact opposite of being a know-it-all. It's about understanding that no matter how smart you are, your knowledge has gaps. It means you care more about finding the truth than you do about being right. And the research backs this up. People with high intellectual humility are less argumentative, they're more open-minded, and they're way better at learning from other people. So here's a really simple way you can try this out in your own life. The next time you're in a debate about something, anything at all, just try starting your sentence with, I could be wrong, but... That one little phrase completely changes the feeling of the conversation. It opens the door for working together instead of fighting and for learning something instead of just arguing. So we've seen how intelligence shows up in our habits and in our mindset. But it also fundamentally changes how we interact with the world around us, especially when when they don't go according to plan. I want you to imagine this. Your flight just got canceled. Are you the person who immediately gets angry, storms up to the counter, and starts complaining? Or are you the one who just calmly pulls out their phone, starts looking for other flights, maybe checks the bus schedules, or even sees it as a cool opportunity to explore the city for an extra day? Your answer says a lot. And really, this all boils down to a core concept in psychology: adaptability. You see, true intelligence isn't about already knowing everything. It's about being able to adjust your behavior and your thinking to deal with things effectively when the situation changes. Smart people don't just follow the script, they know how to rewrite it on the fly. And this ability to adapt is also connected to another key trait: empathy. High intelligence isn't just about processing facts and figures, it's also about processing human emotions. The smartest people are often deeply empathetic. They are genuinely curious about other people, they can kind of feel what others are feeling, and they're sensitive to what others need. It's a huge part of what we call emotional intelligence. So we've gone through habits, mindsets, and social skills. But what if I told you there was one foundational activity, one single thing that research shows can boost almost every other aspect of intelligence we've talked about? Let's get into the science. Take a look at this number, 1,890. This is the number of identical twins that were followed in a huge, long-term study in the UK. Now, by twins, it's because they share 100% of their genes and they grow up in the exact same home environment. This makes them absolutely perfect for figuring out the impact of one specific experience. So these researchers tracked the twins for years, and what they found was just remarkable. If one twin happened to have stronger reading skills at age 7, they consistently showed higher overall intelligence in all the years that followed. And think about what that means. Since their genes and their upbringing were identical, the only logical conclusion is that the act of reading itself was actually making them smarter. But here's the most incredible part of all. Reading didn't just improve their vocabulary, their verbal intelligence, it also improved their nonverbal intelligence. We're talking about things like reasoning and logic and problem solving. It's almost like reading is the key that unlocks the full potential of your entire mind. So after all of this, let's circle back to the beginning. Maybe the real sign of a genius isn't the wild haircut or the chalkboard full of equations. Maybe it's a wandering mind, a dark sense of humor, the humility to say, I don't know, and a lifelong love of reading. Which of these signs do you recognize in yourself? The answer might just surprise you.